more.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So Justin, you wanna do a little demo of the Commons and specifically how folks can submit the pain points that they're observing in the world and some of that?
Yeah. Before I throw my screen up, let me talk a little bit about the background to this. So back in April, Jen Wong and I got involved in the Techstars National COVID-focused online startup weekend. And we had a really great experience. It was the biggest one in the history of the country. There were 1,000 registrations and 150 team projects from all over the country. And it was such a complex and interesting learning experience because Techstars had never done a virtual version of the event. And we crammed it all into a 3-week window to be able to conceptualize, reimagine, recruit, train, and launch and run the event. So it was intense, and it was right at the peak of the beginning of this. It was all during the lockdown, earliest days. And we came away from it with a really healthy, deeper relationship with the team at Techstars, with the vision that things might be changing, not just in the short term, but also kind of going forward. And so we asked if we could do a statewide version of the event, which is not something that they typically permit. And so in parallel to that, many of us that were involved saw all the flaws that we wished we could have addressed while we were going through the weekend. And in terms of the technology, in terms of the methodologies, we argued. It was a team of people who had been running these all over the world for maybe up to a decade. And so one of the things that I took away from it was that the technology that's typically used in these environments, which at that point, and I still think in many ways to today, tends to be that they're disaggregated. So you've got Slack, which is where all the text chat comes in play. And people jump on Zoom calls to do video conferencing. The organizers either try and hold you all in Zoom and there are limitations to it. And everything required sort of installed platforms that you needed desktop installation for. And so we started exploring how would we reimagine a startup weekend specific platform that ended up becoming more like a virtual co-working space, because that's essentially what it takes to run a good startup weekend. You need kind of physical distancing to isolate teams so they can get work done together, but you need common space in the middle. One of the great things about an in-person startup weekend that is much more difficult in the virtual event is that physical events allow for many conversations happening all in the same shared spaces, and virtual, it's a very structured and very difficult experience to try and replicate. And that comes into play during the team formation process, because it happens in a physical in-person event so quickly on Friday night. You don't realize how much information and understanding and opportunity is exchanged in an hour and a half on the Friday night, where you go from strangers to fully formed teams in a very short period of time. And so our format has shifted, and we did this both in the national event and we brought it here, which is that we've created a platform for sharing your ideas and commenting and having conversations around the ideas, which is essentially what happens on Friday night. But we've allowed that window to happen over the course of a week, so that those things are hopefully in place by Thursday night, Friday morning, going into Friday. And so the next part of our presentation here is I'll share my screen and we'll take a quick tour of the platform, which I think most all of you have already logged into. But if you haven't or have any issues, feel free to mention it in the chat and we can work with you. So let me get my camera on. And if anybody has any questions about, as we're going along, I'm gonna kind of not be paying attention to the chat. So Jen or Aaron, feel free to interrupt if it's timely. And I'm happy to there we go. So the first thing is that we've incorporated written messaging and text-based, not written, but text-based communication, which is essentially what Slack would do for an event like this, or other messaging platforms like Discord, which is what we use at the national event. And so we've got a platform that has a Facebook-like activity feed, so you can see notifications that come up as things are posted in different corners of the platform, conversations are started in the forum, but also you can comment and chat on these. So it looks like Allison, one of our partners in the national event, who's here this weekend from, I think, North Carolina, is sent out a note. Where's the link for Q&A? So we can have conversations and post things in the feed here. We've also set up a forum, and this is a little bit more like this. So this is more like a Facebook feed or a Twitter feed. The forum is a little more like the channels in Slack. And so we've gone in and created a handful of starter conversations. You're invited to come in and jump in and start some of your own. And in fact, one of the early conversations that I put out there was, what should we discuss? So what would we, what are the topics, the themes that might start to form centers of conversation? So if you've got an area of interest or a technique that you have questions around, this is an interesting area to be able to do some of that communication. The other tool that I think is really powerful, and this comes from we tried to do this a little bit in the national event, and it's actually quite, in some ways it's easy in the in-person events, but it's also kind of a limitation, which is you don't really know that much about the people that are there. You have an easy opportunity to stand up and holler out in the middle of a room or ask around because you can see and interact with so many people. So what we did is we made everybody on board with a profile, which is pretty uncommon in these sorts of events. And we did it so that it could be searchable. And that's really where the role of domain experts emerged in this process was we're asking you to do customer discovery. So we're not bringing in highly successful exiting your company mentors who are gonna jump in for an hour and ask you tough questions that might have nothing to do with the process you're going through. We've reversed the paradigm and said, we're gonna take all of those great people, put them in a database, ask them for their contact information, and then our facilitators will make that available to you. But you'll be able to search who in our database of domain experts has, so Sonia and Alex and JP, what are their competencies? So if we go look at Susan, we can see that she's got interest in social and community impact, education-related tech, local and small business, creative entertainment, but she also has professional skills in communication and writing, and has done a bunch of work in technical training. She's also been one of our partners in facilitation and mentoring over the years. So, so you can come in here and begin to, using the search tool on the side, identify people that match certain criteria. So if you want someone who does space, who in our platform has experience in space. So we've got Chris Weber, Cindy Brower, Patrick Marcus, Steve Smith, and actually one of them that's not in here, surprisingly, that I know has already registered, so even more. Lots of interesting capabilities. As Peter said, don't rely on them. They're for, hey, we want to find someone who understands this so we can interview them, or help us get in contact with the right kind of customer segment. They're not there to mentor you all weekend long. So
that's what your mentor's for.
That's right. And so forums and profiles, I'm gonna touch on the meeting room. So we've been training our facilitators. So I'm gonna give you a quick tour of the facilitator training room, and it'll look like what each of your team's rooms will look like over time. So what we've done is this is really where the co-working space concept starts to emerge, which is that we're giving every team their own collection of meeting rooms. We don't have the ability to what we call yoinking, pull you in and out of breakout rooms the way Zoom does. So what we've done is created one main team room, and we do have and will have a room directory. So let me pull that up really quickly. So we will, as I build these rooms out for the weekend, there will be a directory of all the teams, their names, which rooms they're in. So you'll be able to find people around the platform. And then in this particular room, this main room that we're in right now, where we're at is the main room. It's the one listed on this directory. Inside of each of the main rooms, there will be 3 side rooms that you and your team members can jump into. Because if you have a team of 3 or 4 or 5, 2 people are having a conversation in the main room, you can't all have side conversations. So we give you up to 3 side rooms to work in. And then we've also got a help desk that is itself just a video room, and we'll probably play with this a little bit. But so if you have any needs with technology, or you're lost in a process and you need some sort of connection, we're gonna have someone staffing the help desk for you while you're in here. Inside of this, so it's a video, always on, persistent live video and audio chat. So you'll be able to just drop in, and other people will be able to drop in as well. They can poke their head in a conference room in a co-working space. They can do the same here. And then we've got these kind of collaborative resources that are available for your team. So we've got the Google Docs embedded into your room so that your team can have a collaborative note-taking environment. We've also got the equivalent of a shared whiteboard, so you can do the Post-it note planning with your facilitator. We built out the event schedule in here, and we can add more content. And so one of the interesting things that I'm hoping for, and we've set up under the meeting rooms, under the forums, is how do we improve the Commons experience? So it's an individual conversation around what's missing, what's broken. So the help desk is for you to go get immediate help, but if you want to leave some thoughts, we'll be checking that over the course. And so we've also got this event timer that is expired right now. It's down here in the corner, that sits on there and helps you understand where you need to be next at what times. Because we've got everybody distributed. We're not yoinking you back. So we've got a countdown timer in your face to show you when you need to go to the next step. And then I wanted to end where I think all of tonight's work goes, which is into the Pitch Center. And this is a platform where we ask you to come in and share your ideas. And I think the point that we've made tonight is that, unlike, I think, a typical startup weekend where people are pitching the solution that they've been thinking about before coming into the event, we're asking you to set aside your characterization of the solution. We ask you to not describe how you want to solve the problem, because we want you to focus on what are the constituent parts of the problem, right? What is the problem or the opportunity, and who has that, rather than what do you think we should do about it? Because we want you to go talk to them about making sure you clearly do understand the underpinnings of your vision for a solution. So it's not that you can't have a vision, it's that we kind of want you to release that vision for the purposes of it. So we're gonna ask you to come in here and post your pitches, give it a title, give it a short description, just a couple of sentences focusing on who's the customer and what pain are they experiencing. And we've got categories that you saw on the front page of the website that we are trying to use the categories as a way for you to help discover shared passions. So each of those categories we ask you to tag. So if you're interested in defense or digital, if you're looking for healthcare, ag tech, just type in this box any letter and it'll start bringing up some of the 12 categories of tags that we have in here. You can post a picture to go with your idea if you'd like. We ask you to characterize, for everybody's benefit, are you technical, are you business, are you creative, are you a domain expert, or are you a generalist? And then what sort of skills are you looking to add to your team to strengthen it? If you have or would like to record a 1-minute video, You can paste the YouTube link here. We've set up a sample pitch. I found this link on YouTube. It's a 1-minute pitch that actually presents their 1-minute pitch exactly the way we're asking, which is he doesn't really talk about the solution for his idea, kind of talks about the problems. And our work tonight and each of the next couple of days is for all of you to come in here and participate. Some of you will be pitching ideas. All of you are capable of reviewing and evaluating what these ideas look like, which ones are relevant. You can click on the little chat button here, and you can leave comments on them. I won't litter on this one, but please go in and do that. That's how you're going to connect with John, is to be inspired by the idea and leave a comment and talk about your interest, or care, give some ideas about where you might want to take it or why you care. And then finally, we have a voting platform. So you can thumbs these up, thumb up and thumb down. And we will be able to sort by most popular, by the most recent submission. You'll be able to do this. What's trending, so what's most recently getting popular. What are your ideas that you've submitted and how do you look for those? This is the one I submitted. And what have I voted for? Which I haven't voted for any. So, and then you'll be able to, we've only got a couple of them in right now, but as people submit different categories, they become available. So, so there's a, I believe, or maybe there's not, a digital web one.
You've still got it on my voted. There you go.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So let's go to sorted by popular and then local. There you go. So there's a local one. We now have an other. So this is the tool set that we're using. It's quite a lot. What I wanted to qualify is that we put this together since June. So this platform didn't exist back in April and May. And so we set up the infrastructure so that we think this event will run really well. But at the same time, I recognize that this is new for us to be running on. You are the first group to be able to use it. So please give us lots of critical feedback, and don't be afraid to jump into the help desk. You can find that under the meeting rooms over here, or talk with your facilitators. And when things aren't working right, I will kind of be, Aaron's running the show this weekend largely, the education side of things. I'll be running the tech side of things, and Jen will be helping with ops. So, so I'll be very focused on trying to answer your questions, and there'll be a couple of us doing that. So I think that's everything. Aaron, did you want to see a little bit more either of the platform or next steps?
No, that's perfect. I was